All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my presentation. So today I will be speaking about my internship at Social Services, and you'll get to see a little bit of what working there entails. So first we're going to talk about arranging the internship. The first thing that I did was call Social Services, and they were able to direct me to Human Resources. From there, I was able to speak with the worker who was in charge of internships. She took all my information, she took my start and my end date, and emailed it out to each of the department head supervisors. And now it can be pretty difficult to obtain an internship at this particular social services because I do live in a large college town. But luckily, one of the supervisors happened to be LDS and saw that I was attending BYUI and agreed to take me on. So that was a very large blessing because I would not have gotten this internship otherwise. I prayed to the Lord to take care of this internship for me, and He made good on that promise. And after I got the internship, I had to fill out a large amount of paperwork. I had to get a physical exam. I had to have a background check completed, get my fingerprints, all of that. And that was more than I had to do for any other job that I've ever had. Finally, I contacted my supervisor and set up my start date and had him answer any questions that I had. And then it was time to start. So here's a little bit about my internship responsibilities. The first is personal learning. So for this, it was reading manuals. When I first arrived at Social Services, I was treated like a normal employee, and when you receive a job at Social Services, you're basically reading manuals for weeks. So every day I would read something new, whether it was about adoptions, child welfare, adult protective services. You had to learn the ropes. There's a lot to learn, and it's very involved. There's a lot of new information, so it's up to you to take that to heart and to process that and use it to help you in your internship. The next was confidentiality. You cannot say the specifics of anything that you learn or that you know to anyone else, not even your spouse. I could say I worked on a child welfare case today, but I can't tell him, a whole lot about it. Then preparation, just be ready for every day and every new experience. And then general assistance with departments, just depending on what they need. Sometimes it was filing, sometimes it was feedback or phone help or administrative work. It just depended on the day and the department. I had kind of an up in the air internship where I didn't really know what I was doing from day to day, and my supervisor would just tell me in the morning. So you had to be on your feet and ready for anything. Next, we'll talk about benefiting my site. So the first would be department support, like I talked about a little bit. Whether it's adoptions, child welfare, adult protective services, licensing, or intake, there's a lot to do in each and every department, and they all have their own things that they're working on. So sometimes like with licensing, they had a lot of backlogged child welfare cases, and so I would take those and update them and file them and process them, and so that was a great help to them to be able to get that paperwork out of the way and to have it all prepared. And then with Adult Protective Services, APS, I was able to do some intake work, so take phone calls from people who were calling to report elder abuse or dependent adult abuse. And so it was interesting learning that whole process. because I didn't even know that adult protective services was a thing. So that was really interesting. The next is field work. This involved going to homes, talking to people, helping to meet their needs. For example, I went out with another APS worker and we met with a really sweet woman who had Alzheimer's pretty badly. And we were trying to help her get into a nursing home where she could feel comfortable and have her needs met. And she really wanted to go. And so it was a good opportunity for us to step in and give her the resources she needed to be able to make that transition. The next one is courthouse. I went to the courthouse pretty frequently on this internship, and that was usually, attending child welfare cases. On occasions, we had private meetings with the judge, which was really fascinating to see what happens behind the scenes when everyone meets together, all the attorneys and the child welfare workers, and they try to come to a decision about a particular case. So there's a lot to do in terms of learning and in terms of benefiting with this particular site. The next is personal benefits. I got a lot out of this internship, which was wonderful. The first is knowledge of career opportunities. Going into this, I didn't know a lot about social work, and I wasn't sure if a social worker was what I wanted to be. I didn't know what the options were for departments. I didn't know the qualifications that I would need if I was interested in a position, so it was really fantastic to learn about each and every one of those. And to have it, to be able to walk away with a good idea of what I wanted to do for the future or what I didn't want to do. And then potential employment. I made connections with a lot of people there, and I feel like they would be able to give me good recommendations if I were to apply for employment. And so that's always helpful. And then an increase in my discipleship. I learned so much from this internship and from these people. The people who work at social services, at least every single person that I met, was extremely compassionate, and they were people who really got it as far as being Christ-like and not judging other people, because this is a really hard, it's a difficult field to work in, because there's a lot of people with addictions and people who have abused and neglected their children, and these workers look past that and they see people who really need help, and they're willing to work with them to help them, get better and hopefully get their families back. So that was a huge eye-opener to have that increase in my discipleship and learn a lot from those people. Next is making connections. So I was able to connect my internship to everything that I've learned about family advocacy. And social services is all about advocating for the family. And that's what the majority of my major-centered classes were about. I was a marriage and family studies major. And social work is about bringing families together, and hopefully that's the birth family, and hopefully the parents are able to repent from their ways and grow and get better. But if a biological family cannot be repaired, then the job of a social worker is to form a new family for these children. Family advocacy is crucial for both families and for our community. There's a real opportunity to make a difference as a social worker. And family advocacy is, it's most often accomplished by social workers who recognize that there's a problem and then getting them the resources that they need. If families are struggling, it's often because they don't have resources to support their efforts. Some families don't have, other family nearby or family that's willing to help. Some don't have a church affiliation or a group of friends that they feel comfortable asking for assistance. And so they let certain things take over, whether it's mental illness or it's addiction or it's, other problems, because they don't have the support that they need. And so getting families connected to resources that will improve their lives is in the benefit of families and the community, and really all of us. And that's what I took away as far as my education and my internship. And then we'll talk about recommendations. I would absolutely recommend this internship. It was a fantastic experience. And to arrange an internship, just call social services. Mine was in San Luis Obispo, California, and you'd ask to speak with human resources. And if you want to intern specifically at San Luis Obispo, the number is listed here, 805-461-6000. And for anyone watching, thank you and good luck.